Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what's in my camera bag as an automotive photographer and videographer for this year ahead, 2025. So without further ado, let's get started. So as I mentioned in that intro, I am an automotive photographer and videographer specializing in car sales. What I do is very specific. I turn up to garages, to dealerships, I photograph in the region of between 10 and 20 cars a day. And it's so specific that it's very much reflected with what's in my camera bag, which we're going to come to in just a moment, of course. So firstly, the bag itself. The bag itself is a Lowepro ProTactic 450 AW2. Quite a big bag, as you can see, opens from the back. Lots of storage compartments, as is, kind of the norm with camera bags. The bag itself it's a good bag. It's a very obvious camera bag. So if you were to be walking around with it, yeah, it's quite obvious that you've got camera gear in there. I don't walk around with it. It lives in the boot of my car. I pull up to a client's garage, dealership, house. I get what I needed from the bag. I do my job. I put it back in the bag and I leave. I don't really take the bag from my car at all. And also 90% of what's in the bag I very rarely use on a day-to-day basis. So of course we're going to get into that now. And the first big thing, and this is going to be controversial for a lot of people given that I earn 100% of my income as a professional photographer, is that there's not really any cameras in there. My main camera, the camera I use for work day in, day out for video and for photo is, as of now, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. This is the 1 terabyte version. I obviously fill it up quite quickly. I take a lot of photos and do a lot of video. I had the 14 Pro Max before this, the 12 Pro Max before that, the XS Max, I don't know if they call it Max or Pro, the larger 10S essentially. And before that I had an iPhone 7. All of those I've used to do my job. I'll make a video another day about why I use phones. As I say, I know it's probably quite controversial that I'm earning my income from a phone, but there are very good reasons for that. And as I say, that's for another video. I do have other cameras. Of course, I'm recording on a camera now. So the camera that you are looking at me through, if you like, is the Sony ZV-1. A really good little camera. Not good for my job. Again, for reasons I'll come back to in a different video, but perfect for this kind of thing. Decent little camera. That normally lives in my camera bag and I use it occasionally, for very, very rarely, really, to be honest with you, for very, very specific types of things. So what do I use day in, day out, without fail? The first thing I use does go in my bag, but I've set it up here in a way that it's easier to show you. Normally I would disconnect this microphone. So this is a SmallRig cage that my phone fits in, of course. What you're looking at there is the Rode VideoMic NTG. Really good microphone, dead cat on there of course because I'm outside videoing and photographing cars. But literally I can connect my phone, just connect it up via its USB-C, do my video. I then take the phone out of here when I'm doing photos, but this is an absolute must-have. I use this for every single car I do. So most of the time I'm walking into garages pretty much with this and my phone. They are the two things that I use more than anything else. But of course, I take the camera bag with me everywhere because there are other things in there that do become useful on a daily basis. Two of those things normally live in these pouches just here, and that's the Aperture MC lights. These pouches are empty at the moment. The lights themselves are actually being used as practical lighting. So here and over my shoulder just here. Great little lights. They're bi-colour, so multi colour temperature you can set it to. They're RGB as well, you can see the colours just there. I use these, usually only one maybe at a time, occasionally to photograph the interior of a car. If, like this time of year for example, when it gets dark early, I find these quite handy for photographing cars in the dark. So onto the bag itself, because those are currently not in the bag. So the first two things from the bag are these. They are suction cup mounts, one which I tend to use internally on windscreen, for example, and this one which tends to go externally. It's got an arm that extends out, and of course you can attach the camera to there. I don't use these a great deal, to be honest with you. When I go to work, I don't know, generally speaking, what cars I'm going to be doing until I get to work, and then I'll find out. And if I'm doing something quite desirable, then these will come out and I will do a video that I don't get paid for, but a video that I like to make and that perhaps can be good for the channel. I don't do them too often. I need to do those more, and in 2025 I plan on using that a lot more. The camera that connects to those is in here, set up, essentially ready to go, and it is the Insta360 One R. So modular camera, you've got the 360 module that's on there at the moment. You can take that apart and put the action camera kind of module on there. I suppose they call them modules. So in here is the action camera section. These just stick together, so you can get rid of the 360 section if you want, use the action camera section. That's quite good for POV videos. Good, as I say, for sticking inside the car. The 360 camera I use fairly regularly with a couple of other accessories, which I'll come to take internal 360 photos of cars. So I set it up, and then from outside the car, obviously I trigger a photo, and that photo can then be used to allow customers to actually look around the car themselves, essentially on the inside of it. So in terms of cameras, we've got my phone, obviously, the Sony ZV-1, which I'm recording on now, and the Insta360 One R that's currently in my bag just here. Audio, I've got the Rode VideoMic NTG, which I use day in, day out. I have what is normally in here, but is currently connected to me just here, a Tascam, I think it's called a DR10-L. I'll put the links for all of this in the description, so you'll find out exactly what this is. It's my favorite microphone. For being at home, recording now, it's fantastic. I prefer it to point and shoot microphones, shotgun microphones. But I also have this as well. This is the Zoom H1N sound recorder. Really good, again, if I'm going to be recording a video that's a bit more special, and perhaps I want the sound of the exhaust, I can put this at the rear of the car. Really good. I can also plug in the lavalier mic to this. I quite like the Tascam, but you know, they both do a really, really good job and have their uses. So I tend to have them in the bag at all times. So next up, I've got an Anker power bank. Really good. This is a 10,000 milliamp, I think. It does a fast charge, so it will charge at the same rate as if I plug my phone via USB-C into a wall. So this is really handy. This comes to work with me every day without fail, because even on a brand new phone, the battery does go pretty quick when you're photographing so many cars. Perfect. I really need this a lot. This is one of the most important things I have in here. We have, I never know how to pronounce this brand. I'm going to say Newer. I have a lot of their stuff. I've got a light here right now, for example. In here is a circular polarizing filter. So when you're photographing cars for a living, these are essential. Attach this to your phone, of course, or to a camera if you're using a camera, and it will essentially cut the reflections, particularly on the glass of a car. It makes a world of difference between just someone walking out and photographing the car with a phone and taking that bit of time and effort to photograph in RAW, to use one of those. It's very hard, or it becomes slightly hard, to be able to tell they're taken with a phone, which is obviously something I like to try to do, make it as good as I possibly can. We have this microphone as well. I don't use anymore. I really don't know why it's in my bag, but it is a Rode MEL, I think. Basically plugs directly into an iPhone via Lightning. Now, of course, the iPhone 16, which I'm now using, doesn't have Lightning, so that's useless. I don't have an iPhone that can actually use that, so that's something I need to get rid of at some point in time. Next, this doesn't get used a great deal. When it does get used, I love using it, and I get really good results from it, and that's the DJI Mini 2 drone. So I know it's not pro level in terms of the photos that it can take, but I've got some great images from it in the past. I most recently used it 3 weeks ago to photograph an Aston Martin. Put the image on screen now so you can see, but yeah, I really like that. And of course, to go along with that in the bag, I have the remote control and the Fly More pack that came with these extra batteries. So they live in there pretty much continuously. This is, I think, I was trying to think about it earlier when I knew I was going to make this video, and I need to look it up, but this is, I believe, the original DJI Osmo gimbal. It's old, I've had this years, it just says Osmo on the side, doesn't have a number, so I think this is the original one from maybe 2017, something like that, possibly. It started to become a bit obsolete for me because phones have got so much heavier that this just couldn't support the weight. I have to put, you know, sort of extra weights on the end here. But with the iPhone 16, it's that much lighter than the 14 Pro Max that I was using before, that actually this gimbal can support the weight. So that will be used a bit more. That's something that I do need to update at some point in time. I use that mainly for short form content, so for making TikToks and things like that. I do have a Joby Gorilla Pod as well. This is the, do they call it 3K? But you know, it holds a decent chunky amount of weight, which is good because I like to connect the SmallRig cage to this, and of course then I've got the microphone on that and the phone as well. So it's good that it holds as much weight as it does. I've got a pouch in here. I won't open this up, but in here we've got lots of GoPro type attachments of various different sorts so that I can fit the Insta camera in various different places. I've also got dead cats for this lavalier mic as well. Again, I don't tend to use this outside. If I'm going outside to video, I usually use the Rode video mic. And then lots of little bits of accessories. So quite recently, I bought this MagSafe, attaches obviously to the back of the phone like that. And then to that, as you can see, I've got connected there, I've got a SanDisk 2TB SSD, and then I can just connect that up to my phone like so. And then once that's done, I can video in Apple ProRes Log directly to my phone. Again, I don't tend to use ProRes Log for my day-to-day job. I video just in standard. Again, I'm going to do a full video explaining why I do what I do and the way in which I do it at some point in time. I've got an ND filter, a big ND filter, as you can see. I did, at a point, have a Sony a7S III. This is the only thing remaining from when I had that a7S III, and some people watching this will ask why I'm not using an a7S III now. I got rid of it. It's a fantastic camera, best camera I've ever used or owned. But I just found I wasn't using it for work. It overcomplicated things in terms of the speed at which I need to work and how many cars I'm delivering videos for every day. It just didn't work, which is, again, why I use a phone. But that's one for another time. And then I've got a couple of spare batteries and things like that. I've got a flyer ID for the drone. You just never know if you're going to get challenged. And a crib sheet of images that I like to take for certain clients. I go to a lot of different clients and they have a lot of different images that they like to use. This just reminds me of what images I should be taking for any given client. To be honest with you, I don't really use that a great deal now. Once you've done them, you know, once or twice, you tend to remember. And then I've got these tying cables, loads of these. Again, that's for if I want to connect a camera externally to my car. I can just reinforce it with these. Just a peace of mind thing. That's it for the bag itself. The only other thing I take in my car, definitely doesn't fit in a bag, but is well worth mentioning, and that is these steps here. 3 steps, quite small as you can see, easily fits in my car. They get used daily. Obviously you can take photos nice and low, just by getting low. But if you're in a car park, or on a forecourt at a dealership, those steps are fantastic for getting angles that other people are not getting. You know, like drones, for example. Drones will give you great angles, but this is a very, very quick way of setting up, standing, so you're looking down at a car from the front, from the back, from the side. If it's convertible, you might want to take a photo almost as high as you can down into the car. They are really useful. So the steps, the SmallRig cage, this microphone, and the power bank, as well as, of course, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, are easily the tools that I use the most day to day. I do think that will change this year. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. I've never made one of these videos before. It's so that in a year's time I can see how much difference there is between my kit now and my kit then, as I do plan on changing it up a little bit, continuing to do what I currently do for sure, but adding some more specialist work where I do turn up somewhere and just take photos of one car for 2 or 3 hours, which will mean, which is exciting, at some point this year, buying a decent hybrid camera. But that is one for the future, the next couple of months, hopefully. I hope you found some of what we've discussed in this video useful. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. Please do consider subscribing. It's completely free. Liking the video, commenting, all of that sort of stuff. And I will see you on the next video, probably in a week or so, I think.